되돌아오니까요. 방송 광고, 경제에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
The long Lunar New Year holiday will effectively kick off this evening for many or most of you. So this means that the roads are going to be jam-packed come this maybe afternoon. And as we know, a higher volume of traffic equals higher risks of accidents. So we definitely want to start the holiday on the right foot, and that all starts with, you know it, safety. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, January 24th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our program on this beautiful Friday morning. It's still quite dark outside, but as soon as the sun comes up, of course, our mood's got to brighten because guess what? We're kicking off the Lunar New Year, the long weekend pretty soon. So chances are you're going to be looking at the clock or your watch like all day long. Many of you, right? Especially if you go into like a traditional office or business, that's where you work, until it's time for you to clock out and start your Lunar New Year holiday week. And make sure you have snacks. Make sure that your phones are fully charged because you plus many other people will be headed out this afternoon into evening. Let's talk about the peak traffic time. So that's going to be later this afternoon into early evening around 5 p.m. That's according to the experts. So if you leave Seoul at this time, around 5 p.m., it'll take you 7 hours to get to Busan. That is according to an estimate by a mobility app and telecom company. And as for the way back to Seoul, assuming you're coming down to Busan and going back up to Seoul, well, that will be at 1 p.m. on Wednesday, the 29th, the day of. So that's going to take, the estimates say, a whopping 7 hours and 42 minutes from Busan to Seoul. So statistically, this afternoon into early evening will be the time with the highest number of accidents. Because, let's think about this. Kind of, simple in the sense like if there are more people are out on the roads, there's going to be a higher number of accidents. So the Korea Road and Traffic Authority analyzed big data for the Lunar New Year holiday for the last 5 years and found that the day before the holiday weekend had the highest occurrence of accidents. So that is why we're saying today we need to be extra careful. So the number of accidents on the day before the holiday actually starts rose by about 10% than any other day. And 6 to 8 p.m. was the most accident-prone time. And while the actual number of accidents do go down during the holiday itself, the number of drunk driving cases, we're talking about 음주운전, went up with a higher number of fatalities. So we all want this holiday to be fun and safe, and we don't want to put a damper on it with even a minor fender bender. So make sure you check everything you need to, like check your oil in your car if you're driving, the antifreeze, the battery. Oh, the conditions on the tires of your car, that's also very important. So make sure that, the levels on all your car, my roommate always checks to make sure that the pressure on the tires, that everything's okay before we head out on a long trip. And let's have a fantastic, but also very safe holiday. Now, text topic time. I love these type of questions. It's a which would you rather kind of question today. So here we go. Which would you rather? 1, take 7 of your older relatives to a cafe versus 2, take 7 kids, young kids in your extended family to a kids cafe. Can I just say no to both? But No, you have to make a choice. Take 7 of your older relatives to a cafe or take 7 young kids, extended family to a kids cafe. And maybe you can share also with us any memorable family holiday stories or any holiday stories that you want to share with our other waivers. 자, 오늘은 나는 차라리 1번 집안 어르신들 7분 모시고 카페 가겠다 versus 어린이들 7명과 키즈 카페 가겠다. You can't opt out. You have to choose one. 가족과 엮인 연휴 episode, 이야기, 재밌는 거 들려주세요. So you can send in your stories to BEFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. So go to the YouTube platform, search for our channel, BEFM 부산영어방송, to subscribe and also to log in, and then you can chat with our other listeners on your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 101. You can also reach me for free through Kakao Talk. Same thing there, search for BEFM or 부산영어방송. And the ways you can listen to us, 90.5, 103.3 FM on the radio. Like I said, we are streaming live as I speak right now on YouTube. You can watch at your leisure. 2 apps, the BEFM app and the Papang app as well, to listen to our program that way. Looking ahead to this Friday morning together, what do we have? We have Vasana with What in the World, Casey for Foreign Press Highlights. Special interview. Have you heard of this new app called Red Note? Well, the thing is that TikTok, very briefly went dark, at least in the United States, because of legislation. However, it came back a few hours later and it got a bit of a reprieve. So, maybe 90 days. But Red Note, this has been taken people are surprised that people are turning to this new app, at least a new app for non-Chinese users. So we're going to find out more about this in hour number 2. I'll be back with today's headlines. It's now 7:06. These are today's headlines. Ex-defense minister testifies at Yoon's impeachment hearing. Former Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun spoke as a witness at President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment trial, downplaying allegations implicating President Yoon in his martial law imposition. CIO transfers Yoon's case to prosecution for indictment. The Corruption Investigation Office for High-Ranking Officials, or CIO, announced that it has transferred its investigation of President Yoon Suk-yeol's failed martial law bid to the prosecution. Constitutional Court rejects impeachment against broadcasting watchdog chief. The Constitutional Court yesterday rejected a National Assembly vote to impeach Korea Communications Commission, or KCC chairperson Lee Jin-suk, over what opposition lawmakers said was a controversial decision-making process. South Korea's 2024 fertility rate estimated at 0.75. South Korea is estimated to have recorded a higher than expected fertility rate of 0.75 in 2024, signaling a potential rebound in the country's chronically low birth rate. U.S. judge temporarily blocks Trump's birthright citizenship order. A judge in Seattle temporarily blocked President Donald Trump's executive order to change birthright citizenship, calling it blatantly unconstitutional. And these are today's headlines. It's time to say hi to Sue on this Friday morning. So good morning.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
I know. So are you excited? Are you looking forward to the Lunar New Year?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, well, for our text topic today, it's a which would you rather. So of the two groups, the older, elderly, relatives in your family to a regular cafe, or taking 7 kids to a kids cafe.
I wanted to ask you first, why 7?
I don't
It's
know.
a huge number.
I think that's the whole point. If it was just one, it'd be too easy. 7. It has to be 7. So which would you choose? Which would you rather?
Well, being in my position, I feel like I have to do both. Because I'm right in the middle, so I have to take out 어르신들 and take
I know,
care
but
of
you
the
have
kids.
to choose one.
Okay, I'm gonna go for the kids.
The kids and the reason.
Because I want to make a good impression.
Oh, on the little kids?
Yeah. Like,
But not
I'm
your elders?
good auntie.
I'm the best auntie. Oh, I like. Well, do you have any special memories with your family or relatives? Anything interesting that you want to share with our listeners?
For like a couple of years ago, it was 설날 as well.
Yes.
So I was taking a nap on the sofa. And then I think I put on some hair perfume on my hair.
Okay.
And then my little nephew, he was like sniffing like
Your hair?
Yeah. And then I was like out like a light. And then he was sniffing me all over. And then like my cousin took a video of that. So it was
of him sniffing you.
yeah. So it was so funny.
At least you smell good.
Yeah.
What a cute story. Well, let's talk about our first update. This is regarding the number of multicultural students in the Busan region, which has gone up. So this also means that there is a need to establish maybe a multicultural school.
Yes, Busan Metropolitan Office of Education announced plans in June last year to open a multicultural school by 2027 to address the rising number of multicultural students in the region. The initiative aims to run a school that focuses on intensive education in the Korean language and culture. The initial plan proposed a boarding school with 15 integrated classes for elementary, middle, and high school students, where multicultural students could be temporarily entrusted for 6 months to a year. However, the progress has stalled.
Really? So what's the reason why? Why has this project stalled?
A task force was also formed to accelerate the establishment of the school. However, 6 months later, the only progress made by the task force was visiting other multicultural schools in regions such as Incheon Hanuri School and Gunso Future International School. And another reason is the dismissal of the former superintendent of education, Ha Yun-soo, who initiated the project.
Yes. So tell us more about these type of schools.
The number of multicultural concentrated schools in Busan, where multicultural students account for more than 30% of the student body,
Yes.
grew from 1 in 2022 to 3 currently.
Oh, really? Okay.
And in contrast, the school-age population in Busan has been declining each year. And there was a parent of a multicultural child emphasizing the challenges faced by students with limited Korean proficiency, and that person expressed strong support for the establishment of a multicultural school.
Yes. Well, definitely a growing population, so there is a need to definitely support multicultural families here. Well, next up, let's talk about our city. City of Busan announcing that it has established the 2025 Vacant House Renovation Plan. This is all about improving the urban landscape and creating a pleasant urban environment. And this is through the renovation of the vacant houses in collaboration with the local districts, right?
Yes. So under the Vacant House Acquisition and Community Infrastructure Development Project, the city plans to acquire vacant houses and convert them into facilities desired by the residents.
Yes.
By turning vacant houses into shared public assets such as small parks or parking lots, the project will create a foundation for public development and establish facilities that meet residents' needs. And the city will accept initial applications until February, and after approximately 3 sites will be selected for full-scale implementation.
I see.
And also, a vacant house bank system, 빈집은행 system, will be established to share information about vacant houses. Vacant house data with the consent of property owners will be posted on district and municipal websites and linked with the government's forthcoming vacant house information system to promote transactions. And the city will actively provide guidance on house demolition, remodeling projects, and best practices for utilizing vacant houses. It will also offer consultations to improve public awareness and understanding of vacant house issues.
Yes, indeed. So this is something that is being addressed. So it's definitely a good thing. We don't want the empty, vacant homes anywhere, but especially here in Busan. All right, next. let's talk about Nakdonggang River Management Office of Busan City announcing that the Ulsukdo Children's Forest Experience Center, it has been established in the Ulsukdo Picnic Plaza area. Apparently, this costs, 200 million won?
Yes. The Children's Forest Experience Center is a space designed for guiding and educating young children so they can experience the various functions of a forest.
Oh, well, I can kind of imagine, but give us the details on how this might benefit the children because, we think about forest, but what exactly is forest education?
So it can help children enhance learning abilities, increase environmental sensitivity, form self-concept, improve immunity, promote psychological stability, and
Yes.
develop social skills. And the newly established center is equipped with playground facilities, evacuation facilities, rest areas, restrooms, and information facilities. Starting in February, the city will begin recruiting children's forest education experts and will start accepting applications for children's forest groups. The forest experience programs for children will fully operate by April.
Well, I wish there were these forest education programs for adults as well.
Yes.
But we're going to begin with the children.
It would be nice.
Yes. And so next, let's talk about this. The Hometown Love Donation Program at Busan City Hall last year raised 455 million won, which is actually 3 times the amount raised the year prior in 2023. So to express its gratitude, the city is launching a special event, right?
Yes, it's a great news because people are very generous.
Right, and the fact that it went up by threefold, that's pretty amazing.
So it's Lunar New Year Hometown Love Donation.
Yes.
2+1 King event. So 3 benefits will be offered to those who donate to their hometown. For Busan residents, donation to Busan City Hall from the 23rd, which is yesterday, to the 31st. And the city will provide full tax deductions for donations up to 100,000 won and offer a thank you gift worth 30% of the donated amount. As an additional benefit, up to 200 donors whose donation amounts correspond to multiples of 10 will receive a 10,000 won mobile coffee coupon. So this means if you are the 10th donator or 20th donator, you can get 10,000 won coupon.
Yes. And I hear this is quite popular. Many people are actually doing this, people we know. So what are some of the thank you gifts?
So for the thank you gifts, Busan, there are Busan local currency 동백전, Busan City tour tickets, Haeundae Blue Line beach ride tickets, and discounts for staying at the Kumyeonsan Youth Training Center log cabins. And there is Hwasimcheong 온천 usage tickets, hot
Yes.
spot,
Yes.
and beef and pork and various seafood products, as well as rice and traditional alcohol and some more.
Wow. So those are some pretty nice gifts. So once again, you give and then you get a little back. But of course, people are not giving or donating because of that. But it's a little bonus, right?
Yes.
All right. Lastly, Suyeonggu District announced that it will hold a special M-Drone light show performance. That's going to be on the 25th, all about celebrating the Lunar New Year, correct?
Yes. Can you guess how many drones will be used for this?
Oh, is this something to do with the year?
Yeah.
Okay, so 2025?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So a total of 2,025 drones will take flight, and they will beautifully display messages like wishing you good fortune. And the drones will depict traditional games like 복조리개, which is a traditional Korean lucky charm, and a blue snake symbolizing change and growth for the year ahead. So it will fill the night sky with beauty. And can I just explain a little bit about 복조리개? So 조리 is a tool used for sorting rice.
Okay.
And it's made by weaving thin bamboo strips. And the act of using this rice sorting tool is, it means wishing for prosperity in the new year.
Okay.
Because rice grains rising, it symbolizes abundance. So 한 해의 복이 쌀알처럼 일어나라는 의미입니다.
Thanks for explaining that. I never knew. Now we know.
Okay.
Thank you. And of course, anything else you want to add about the show?
Yes. The show will be featured on the largest scale, and it starts at 7 p.m. for 40 minutes, and there will be only one performance tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. So thank you for all the updates, of course. Happy Lunar New Year. But we'll see you on Monday, right?
Yes, yes.
All right. Thank you, Sue.
Have a great weekend.
Well, I'll be back with our traffic and weather. Let's check out the traffic. There is some congestion on Luno Samsungdae로 from the Myeongji Underpass to Shinho Bridge. It's also backed up on the Dongso Overpass from Bumniko Ramp to the Old Gaegeum Tollgate. Also looking slow on Nakdong Namlo from Myeongji Interchange to Ulsukdo. Currently, it's -1 degree under clear sky, so it's a bit cooler than yesterday. A little bit colder. The daytime high, though, will go up to 13 degrees, and as you can just hear right there, a big difference in the temperatures. There is a dry weather special alert in effect in Busan with bad ultra-fine dust readings as well. Looking ahead to the weekend, tomorrow it's going to be partially cloudy here in Busan with an expected low of 2 degrees Celsius and a high of 10 degrees. And on Sunday, quite similar as well. So this was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for News Digest. We have Haley here. Let's say hi first. Good morning.
Good morning. This day is here. I thought it would never come. Oh my goodness.
It's here.
It's here.
Yes. So before we get into what you're going to be doing for the Lunar New Year holiday, well, which would you rather?
And then you have to ruin my day with this
Right.
question that
the
I wrote.
older folk or the young ones?
You know, I actually
one.
I mind both, but I can do both because I'm the baby whisperer. Just here, I'm just gonna say it.
You're the baby whisperer.
I'm the
Are
baby
you
whisperer.
Sure?
I know you might be.
Are you sure?
No, ask Casey. I have references.
Okay, Casey.
And my reference will be Casey because I have babysat his kids before. And you know, I can do kids. I can do kids because it like all kind of circulates. If you take the kids like out of everyone's hair for a full day, then you're like the superhero. Not just with the kids, but with the adults as well, because you're
just
the
a people pleaser.
Yeah, I am. I really am. It's a chronic.
So let's explain what a baby whisperer is. It began, the original term is horse whisperer, where you
right.
whisper to your horse and you can communicate. Imagine the horse. Okay, so this is the horse. You're communicating with a horse, and like you connect with a horse.
Right.
You're one with a horse.
Like you're this magician with
Yes.
this, and they all listen
Tame
to
the
you.
horse,
The
yes.
something whisperer, that
Yes.
some things, the someones, they all listen to you. So you can be, you can be a dog whisperer. I think Kang Hyung-wook would be a dog whisperer because all the dogs listen to him. And then I think there are some cat whisperers out there. Like, no, there are some like influencers who are really great with cats, like
Yes.
behavioral corrections.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm a kid whisperer. To a certain degree, I do have extensive nannying experience.
okay,
that too.
okay.
That
You
too.
keep on like building yourself.
I know,
up.
but I'm like, do I want our listeners to start dropping their kids off at my place? What is going on? But then, to Leslie's point, and that's what I was going to say, you take the adults to a cafe. And by the way, if you are planning on it, I really recommend going far to either Gangseogu or Kijang district / county because they have the adult, like the places that your elders really like. They have the big cafes, like either overlooking the ocean or the river.
Sure.
But it's not like so hip that they feel intimidated.
like out of place.
Right. And because the really hip places have uncomfortable chairs. They have like the wrong backing. They don't have backs to chairs. So if you do that, you're also the hero, such a people pleaser. And then they have gossip. They have family gossip.
Oh, yeah.
And
That
they'll
they wanna
tell you
share?
like who used to be, fill in the blank. Yeah.
So Drift Monkey. Oh, Drift Monkey confirming he is indeed in Korea.
Welcome.
But he's in Seoul.
Oh.
We forgive you. And then Busan for 3. Why only 3 days in?
Right?
Oh, it's just because of the New Year couldn't get KTX tickets to Busan in time.
Oh, that's true.
That's true.
Oh,
we
that's
forgive
true.
you.
We forgive
it's
you.
okay. Yes. And he also adds that he's a dog whisperer.
Oh.
So teach us our skills later. All right, let's jump into our first bit of news. We're going to begin with yesterday's oral arguments at the Constitutional Court for President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment case.
Right, but the person at the center of the trial yesterday was not the president, but rather former Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun, who was the star witness, a key witness yesterday. The gist of his testimony, though, it was to kind of minimize the president's alleged role in the martial law planning and the imposition, with Kim himself taking the bulk of the responsibility. So during questioning, because he was the witness for the president's side, during questioning by Yoon's attorneys, Kim Yong-hyun admitted to being the one who actually proposed declaring martial law to the president. And he specifically said that he wrote up the memo on orders pertaining to martial law and gave the memo to ministers Choi Sang-mok, Jo Tae-yeol, and Lee Sang-min. And as for the president and this said memo, it was actually President Yoon who actually questioned him during the trial. And Yoon asked him if he, Kim, remembers when he brought the memo to the presidential residence and how he, President Yoon, he apparently kind of skimmed over it, laughed, and said, there's a lot of legality here to review, that it's kind of not a legal term, but if in a gray area. But said, and I think this is key part, he said that it's not likely that the decrees or the matters laid out in the memo will actually be implemented, kind of implicating that he never had the intention to implement these issues. So let's just leave things they are, unquote.
Okay.
So Kim responded, yes, he does remember. And he also added that the president didn't really read over the memo thoroughly as he usually does with other documents.
I see. Well, what else did they discuss?
Right. And then next part is this another controversial part about there being an order for the martial law forces to either drag out the lawmakers from the National Assembly or arrest some key lawmakers. So Kim Yong-hyun flat out rejected. He denied that the president ordered for these major politicians to be arrested. Then as to who gave the order, he admitted that he himself gave this order for the politicians not to be arrested, but simply to be located so the authorities could keep tabs to check up on who might violate the martial law decrees.
I see.
So this kind of goes in line with what President Yoon's side has been proposing, has been insisting all along.
Yes.
But it's also against the evidence that the prosecution has stacked up against the former defense minister. So after his questioning the National Assembly's legal representatives, they said that these statements are contradictory to the clear evidence that's there, and said that these statements are aimed at trying to flip the evidence, calling them comical.
I see. So that's what's going on with the impeachment case. All right, moving on. We reported on the rise in the birth rate for November yesterday. Apparently, though, there is a regional discrepancy even for the birth rate. There's a discrepancy for almost everything and anything.
Unfortunately, in South Korea, there is a big regional imbalance for really anything and everything, like said. Good news and bad news on the birth rate front. So good news, the fertility rate or the birth rate, it seems to have hit rock bottom in 2023, which means the only way is up. So it's been going up slowly, but it's been up. So that's the right direction.
Yes.
A little bit of bad news, that depends on where you are.
Oh, okay.
So if you've been listening to, the news for the past decade, we know, you can assume it's the capital area that's getting the biggest boost in numbers. So Seoul, Gyeonggi, and Incheon, clear increase. But then if you look at Gangwon and Gwangju, along with a lot of other non-capital regions, there's a bit of an increase in the later part of last year, but that rate was very much less so.
I see. Well, let's go over the specific numbers.
Right. So I'm citing figures from Statistics Korea, which showed a 5% increase in the number of newborns born in Seoul between January and November of last year. It peaked in September at nearly 14%, and it's been really high in the later part of the year, 10% range in both October and November.
Sure.
Going to neighboring Gyeonggi, double-digit figures, 10% range as well since September of last year. Incheon, the most significant, 20% range in the final, the 3 months, September, October, and November.
Sure.
So pretty much double digits. Let's move elsewhere. Gangwon saw good news, 9.4% in November, but the rate is definitely lower. More so if you look at Chungbuk, 3% increase, and Jeju at 6% increase in newborns.
I see.
And we're only talking about the later months, September, October, and November. But if you look at the birth rate, accumulated birth rate for the entire year,
Yes.
the capital area fully in the red, so to speak. They're fully in the positive range for increase. Non-capital area, actual decrease if you look at the entire year. Because a birth rate is not just a number. It's a statement into the housing prices, job availability, quality of life, and really everything else. Number of young people, young adults are getting married and having children. So an official from Statistics Korea said that a part of this is from different municipalities, local governments, having all different types of financial stipends and childcare support.
Yes.
And of course, there is some residual impact from that huge decline from 2023, but that's a look into the country's birth rate.
Ah, yes. So the details in the numbers. So, well, the good news is overall, yes, the numbers are looking up and up. Well, let's turn to some holiday stories. I mean, we cannot emphasize the importance of safety enough because very, very most important, safety, right?
So what fancy thing are you going to be cooking this this
so
holiday?
I went
'Cause
shopping yesterday.
she made 꽈배기 at home, and I'm still like, it was in Chuseok. I'm still not over it. I'm like, who makes 꽈배기 at home?
That's what my family wanted, but everything was closed at that time. So
Can I tell you what I want? Like, is that
if it's doable, I'll do it for you. Yeah, so we're having a mixture of stuff. We're doing all the jeons. Yeah, so we're doing like my sister and I. We said we're doing like 6 different jeons, and then the typical Korean jeon.
Yeah.
We're doing something a little outside the box because on day 2. That's after the jeon and the tteokguk and all that. On day 2, we're having, like a samgyeopsal party, but I'm making my signature bibim kalguksu plus the one with the broth. So I'm making the 2 different types of guksu to go with.
So this is the 30th, you said?
The 29th.
The 29th?
Actually, yeah, the 30th.
Okay, all right.
So.
You guys have a big family. I'm just going to sneak in and pretend.
Yes.
You're
You're welcome.
No one will
Anytime.
notice. All right. So whether you are like Kat, you're going to be cooking up a storm or leaving home for several days,
Yes.
please, fire safety. Utmost importance.
Yes.
Because in the last 5 years, there have been over 100 fires every day.
Yes.
Per day during the Lunar New Year holidays. That's killed an average of 1.6 people per day. So this can be fatal.
Yes.
So this is according to the National Fire Agency, which says there have been a total of 81 fires in the past 5 years during the Lunar New Year holidays. Death rate at 33 people total, 20 billion won in damages. So it seems that afternoons and evenings were the most frequent times for fires, 4 p.m. accounting for nearly 30% and so on, maybe for dinner prep perhaps.
Sure.
So be careful, especially when you're cooking with oil because, and with jeon, families do this. Because you don't want the oil to splatter everywhere, you'll cover the frying pan with like newspapers or the thicker
common.
pages from calendars. But make sure the size of the paper, it's not so big that it droops down the size and it'll catch fire.
Got it.
Also, if you're leaving home for a prolonged amount of time, please check and make sure that things are turned off and unplugged.
Yes.
But I'm sure I'm not the only person who's like halfway to the highway and you're like,
Did I?
is it off?
Did I?
So a
Did I turn
tip
everything
that
off?
I've learned from social media is take your phone, do a walkthrough, turn on the video, do a walkthrough of your home so you have video. Because sometimes you'll have checked it, but then your brain, because your brain is your brain,
Yes.
my brain, will forget. So you have video evidence to give you a little bit of an ease of mind. Because I don't
never
trust
thought of that.
myself.
Video evidence.
Do you trust yourself? I don't trust myself.
Photographic evidence. That's a good one.
Right?
I love that
Thank
tip.
you, social media.
Yes, and of course, we here on Morning Wave of Busan, we certainly hope that you won't need it. However, hospitals, doctors' offices, they will be open during the holidays. Not all of them.
Not all of them,
yes.
but they'll be there. So
Yes.
you just need to know where to look. So hospitals and doctors' offices will be open, specifically 5,896 hospitals and clinics in Busan.
Yes.
Over 3,500 pharmacies. But call 129 or 119 or your local district or county clinic, and that information will be made available to you, or online at busan.go.kr. Keep in mind, though, your bill will be higher than usual, about 30 to 50%, because these employees are working overtime on holidays.
Oh,
so
yes.
it's by law that they do this. So for basic diagnosis, treatments, and surgeries at doctors' offices, look at about 30 to 50%. And for your medication, prescription, or over-the-counter, 30% extra.
Yes. So just in case, once again, keep those numbers in mind, 129-119. Next, for our final story, we're going to go to Iraq, where a new law, I heard about this being, it might be passed several months ago, but now it's law and it's devastating.
It has been. So Iraqi parliament passed this new law. I'm going to skip over a lot of parts. It permits 9-year-olds to get married, or I don't think any 9-year-old wants to. So it permits parents of 9-year-olds and guardians to have their kids get married. Because what this law actually does, it gives religious authorities or clerics this power to decide on many matters of family affairs like marriage, divorce, and childcare. It also abolishes this previous ban that banned children age of 18 or under from getting married.
Okay.
So activists in the country say that the response has been one of devastation. There was already a case of a husband threatening to take the daughter away from his wife unless she gives up the rights to alimony and childcare. So that's one example.
All right, but the matter that has caused the most attention is like I just said, over this whole child marriage issue.
Right, so this child marriage issue, it's been a long-standing issue in Iraq. So I'm citing a 2013 UN survey, which found that 28% of girls in Iraq were married before 18. Let that sit with you, 28%.
It's almost 30%.
That is almost a third of the country, a little bit over a quarter, definitely.
Yes.
So, but to be clear, it doesn't flat out say that the marriage age is 9, because once again, it is up to the religious clerics. So it depends on which sector of Islam. So for Shia Muslims, and they are the majority, the lowest age of marriage for girls in their religious belief is 9 years old. For Sunnis, the official age will be 15. But once again, because that is the majority, that's the concern. So early marriage, it sometimes gets painted as kind of a way out of poverty, at least to the families that do agree to it. But here's the thing, statistically, many of them end in failure. And we're not just talking about divorce officially, but even the marriages that are, they do continue on paper.
Yes.
It can lead to many issues, including lifelong consequences for young women, because often if you are married, having children at an age where you still are a child, you miss out on education, social opportunities, social shame, lack of opportunities.
Yes, indeed.
I'm right. I'm sorry, but we have to know. We have to report on this.
Right. And, we try real hard, like we listen and we don't judge. But in this case, I don't know. It's a tough one. We'll leave it at that, and we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right, back to you, the wavers out there. Our text topic today is this. Which would you rather? Your two choices are take 7 of your older relatives to a cafe. And when I say older, I'm talking about the older, the 꼰대-ish kind of relatives to a cafe versus taking the most rambunctious, maybe annoying, but cute, kids in your family to a kids cafe. So which would you rather? 집안 어르신들 7분 모시고 카페를 가겠다 versus 어린이들 7명과 kids cafe 가겠다. It's like taking, the 7 dwarfs to a little kids cafe in the best possible way. I'm talking about Snow White, right? So which would you rather? So the answers, the responses thus far are kind of split. But 고수 says 저는 집안 어르신들 모시고 카페를 가겠습니다. 왜냐하면 저는 어르신들에게 인기가 많아요. Says who, but okay. Just kidding. 아이들에게도 인기가 있지만 자기 자랑 타임인가 봐요. 그래서 아이들 7명은 그건 아닌 것 같아요. He says he's popular with the older folk and the kiddies. That's what he says. But he's like, I don't think I can handle 7 kids. Yeah, 7's a lot. And it kind of does matter how old they are as well. Anyhow, here is Kat's pick for this Friday morning. It's time for Kat's Pick, and today, I wish it was a happy story, but not, because more than 32,000 people have fled the northern region of Colombia because two rival rebel groups are engaged in this bloody battle. So I'm going to let Al Jazeera, this clip, explain the situation.
Exhausted and fearful, 15,000 people have arrived to this stadium in the city of Cúcuta in the last 5 days in search of refuge and aid. They're among the 25,000 forced to flee their homes amid fierce clashes between two rival armed groups in the Catatumbo region on the Venezuela border. Cindy del Carmen and her family arrived in Catatumbo 7 years ago, fleeing Venezuela's political and economic crisis. They say that when the clashes started, they tried to protect their home, but when armed men ordered them to leave, they had no choice.
The gunfire, the dead in the streets of the nearest town, it was unbearable. The armed men told us to leave immediately. We were terrified, especially for the kids. One stray bullet and it's over.
The violence, some of the worst in years, began when the National Liberation Army, or ELN, launched a campaign against a dissident faction of former FARC rebels to control lucrative drug routes. The rebels have targeted demobilized fighters, community leaders, and civilians they see as opposing their operations. This public school professor, who asked to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation, says the crisis was inevitable.
My students were telling me, "Teacher, take care of yourself. Something horrible is about to happen." And it's so hard to see how these kids have normalized their situation that is not normal. It's abhorrent. FARC and ELN dominate the culture there. They were an agreement of sorts that all came apart. They pretend that they represent some ideology, but the truth is, it's all about drug trafficking, nothing else.
This crisis has already become a major burden for the city of Cúcuta. The mayor told us that they were able to serve 6,000 lunches today, but with more people arriving practically every hour, they fear that they will soon run out of resources.
Yeah, so once again, the fighting so bloody, so fierce that 32,000 people have fled their homes. So how many more will they be able to handle is the question, and when can they return home? This was Cat's Pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It sounds familiar, but we have a different face.
Yes.
We have Vasana in the house. Good morning.
Yes.
That's Casey's song.
I was like, yeah, I was like, is that my music?
And he's like, did my BG change? He's like looking around.
Hey, Miss DJ.
And he's a musician. He knows right away. Hey.
Am I early?
Text topic.
Yes.
Which would you rather?
Yep.
7...
Old fogies.
You said it, not me. Gonde-ish elders from your family versus...
Yeah, Rugrats.
7, rambunctious, annoying as heck.
Oh, that's a no-brainer.
Kids.
The kids.
The kids?
Yes.
Why?
Because the kids, you don't need to pretend. You don't need to. You can just be yourself. You can just be yourself and relax. And also some kids cafes these days have some adult drinks.
Oh yeah, so this and then so you can kind of
you can relax
you're in a better
and
mood.
really relax.
Yeah, really. You're like, this is Vasana. You're like at a cat's cat, like you're really relaxed, watching some young people. You're like, yeah, do whatever, don't fight.
He hit me. Well, go ahead and back.
It's okay. I don't see any blood. That's kind of true.
Yep. So you can just relax, and there's different areas. If it's a good kids cafe, they have different areas for different age kids.
I would go the other way. I would go with the as you said, as Vasana said, the old fogies.
Yeah.
요거 아니고요. It's like,
You just said it too.
I know, but I'm repeating quote Vasana. The older folk, because I feel like so many like fun stories and maybe gleaning a little bit of wisdom from them. And then afterwards, I'm going to have some good stories to tell to the other members of my family. Like, do you know what like Uncle, Hongil-dong said?
Yeah.
Yes. Like, do you know? And like go through the family drama.
Yeah.
So that's why I would go with adults.
Just before we start.
Yes.
Do you have a problem with your daughters wearing your clothes? Or taking your
Actually,
makeup or all that sort of
they're
thing?
really good about it. They always ask.
Okay.
We're good about it. We wear the same shoe size,
Yeah.
and like we like similar
They
makeup
ask
products sometimes. I don't know. Am I
I just
bragging too
found
much?
this
Why?
top.
Whose is that? Is that your son's?
My son is about the same size as me now. He's 12 years old.
Really?
And I looked through his
stay warm.
wardrobe and hey, is this where it went?
Wait, this is yours or his?
I think all my clothes are his now.
Oh, that's cute. I like that.
So in a couple of years, I'll be wearing his clothes.
Aw,
Hand-me-downs
from your son.
from my son.
I've done that too, though, like
Okay.
sweats and stuff. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's get into what in the world.
Okay, so as our listeners may know
Yes.
now, the news I deliver is bizarre. How bizarre. But sometimes it's laughable as well. Unlike Nicole Paulino, however.
Oh,
So
wow.
this is a story of Nicole, a mother of Frey from Maryland. She found that-
Maryland.
from Maryland.
Maryland. Maryland.
So I was listening to Claire Kim yesterday. I'm getting my New Zealand accent
Yes.
back. From Maryland. Recently found out she was dead.
Wait.
So she went to renew her driver's license.
Okay, so she wasn't dead, but she found out she was dead.
She walked into the DMV, or whatever you call it in the
Yeah,
States. It's
DMV.
Okay.
Department of Motor Vehicles.
Okay.
Yes.
Walked in there to renew her driver's license, and she was dead. They said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but it says here you are deceased. And
You're like, I'm here.
I'm here.
What do you mean I'm
Want
dead?
to check my pulse? But ma'am, computer says no. And as we all know, the internet doesn't lie.
Are you serious? So the computer said she was dead.
Yes. So this is
Oh my gosh.
just a
Bizarre.
It's basically a typo problem.
Oh.
So somebody in some department somewhere they were entering.
They clicked dead.
Yeah, and they put the wrong digit in. And when they were entering the person who had died.
Yes.
And they put the wrong number in.
Oh.
Their IRS number or their tax number.
Does that mean she doesn't have to pay taxes?
That was the thing.
I'm just kidding. No. We don't condone,
Yeah.
evading taxes.
So this apparently happens a little bit. So it's only 0.33% of the reports in the US are incorrect.
Okay.
But given
Yes.
that there are 300 million people in the States,
I was going to say, though, if you look at the numbers,
that equates to about 10,000 people a year
that are accidentally
killed.
like, you're dead, you're deceased.
Yes. By
Okay.
entering the wrong number. So I actually did one of those jobs when I was at university, data entry.
Oh, really?
And you go so fast, you're not even looking at the keys, you're just typing it in.
Yeah, I get it. I did it.
You do about, 1,000 numbers in an hour and more. Yeah, so there is going to be a mistake. But after some inquiries, she's alive.
Okay, so now she knows.
Now
that
she
she's
knows.
undead.
Okay.
All right, let's go on.
So let's
to our
go from
next
an undead woman to a very, very strong woman.
Okay.
So move over Jim Bros. Jim Bros. There's a Jim boy's name. There's a new leg day legend. Leg day.
Leg day.
Yeah.
So
I hate leg days. Oh my goodness. But anyway.
Yes.
Turkish powerhouse Gözde Dogan has smashed her way into the record books by obliterating 5 watermelons in 60 seconds using nothing but her...
Oh, do we have photos?
I didn't want to show the photos. It's quite, it can be revealing.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Because she's
So
squashing
5 watermelons
Yeah.
in how long?
in 1
60
minute.
in 1 minute?
Yeah, between her thighs.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so you can guess why I didn't have photos. But anyway,
Yes.
there's 5 juicy watermelons. So I watched it and yeah. So he's, the Guinness World Records. You can search this on the internet.
Yes.
Yeah, it's. I think I could do half
a watermelon if it's already like split in half.
Yeah, but I can split an apple
With your hands?
With my hands.
Oh, that's pretty strong.
But no, anybody can do it.
I can't.
Yes, you can.
No, I cannot.
Yeah, you have to prepare the apple though. So you need to dig into the apple with your fingers at the top just to make a little split. Once you've made the split,
It's
and
easy.
then you can hide it. And then look at this.
But I don't know, splitting a watermelon, that's pretty hard.
Yeah. Crushing a watermelon.
Crushing, yeah.
Yeah, so after her victorious squeeze fest, she a plaque and a title of officially amazing. Because what else do you call someone who can pulp
Watermelon?
with pure
I
leg
don't know,
power?
but like, don't get her mad.
Yes.
She'll split your head open too.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the next one.
Yes.
Grab your socks and hold on to your pants because this next story is straight out of the spin cycle of justice.
Oh, what happened?
Okay, so this is an 84-year-old guy was in the laundromat. And this younger guy, half his age, or even less than half his age, walked in there and tried to rob
But
him.
we got to give his name. I think his name is so fitting.
Ron Croker.
Croker, because
Croker.
in English, croak can sometimes mean you're dead, right?
Yeah.
So Ron Croker.
Yeah, I should have. Yeah, that's the reason why. Another reason I chose it because of the first story.
Yes.
So you're never too old or too wrinkled. He's in the laundromat, too wrinkled. To teach a mugger some fabric softened manners.
Oh, what happened?
The guy, you have to watch the video. We didn't have time for the video because it went on for a bit. So he comes in and with a knife and points it at the old guy and says, "Give me your money." And the guy just has a pair of jeans, and he fights. You know
Really?
how
With his pants?
you know how you when you're young you flick the towel.
Oh, of course, the flick.
He's doing
With his jeans?
With his jeans.
He flicked them?
And the guy didn't know what to do. And
He
ran-
must have a good wrist snap, though.
Yeah.
At
So-
84.
Yeah. So you want my wallet over my clean denim, and then it went on.
Is that what he really said, or is that what we're imagining?
Well, it's a CCTV, so you don't get any.
So is he like?
Yeah, that's
"Over
my commentary. That's my commentary.
Over my clean denim.
Over my clean denim. So he chased the guy away, and the guy ran off. But the guy came back, and he did it again. So it wasn't just once; he did it twice. And he quoted, "There was no one there to help me. It was either me or him, and I won." Anyway.
Yes.
So the last story is not the usual feel-good story.
Why?
It's a different take on the word feel.
Feel.
Takes on the literal haptic meaning, the touch meaning,
Yes.
rather than the abstract one. And it is from Florida.
Is this a man in Florida?
Yeah, it's a person in Florida.
Yes.
Okay. So Deputy Makoma, this is a policeman. He was cruising around the Lake County in his police car and was multitasking. So you know how we're usually checking our phones and then driving?
You shouldn't, but yes.
So instead of answering emails, checking GPS, or calling for a backup, our boy was watching adult videos.
Police officer,
A police
multitasking,
officer
watching.
adult videos while driving. And what happened is that a woman stopped ahead of him and he crashed into that woman.
Oh, gosh.
So that was bad. But
That's
the reason why
terrible.
the woman stopped
Yes.
was that there was a children's bus in front of her. So that made it even worse. So he rear-ended the car, and when he got out, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, my brakes failed."
Oh, my gosh.
Excuse. But the problem is in America, they have cameras on the police. So his camera was on.
His body cam
His
was
body
on?
cam was on while
Was
he was
the volume
driving.
on
Yes,
with
and
explicit
everything was
videos?
on. Yeah, and so
Oh, dear.
yeah, he was caught red-handed, so to speak.
Sada. Really?
So faced with termination, he decided to resign instead.
He needs
which,
to.
which it was
Not
probably for
befitting
the
a
best.
police officer.
Yeah. So
Yes.
if your attention is not on the road or on people, maybe law enforcement isn't your calling.
Yes.
So not just illegal, it was awkward evidence. So glad they didn't have to present that evidence into court.
I'm glad he quit because he should not be. I mean, if he's doing that, there's nothing wrong with whatever he's doing in private life. But when you're on the job driving,
Yeah.
oh, anyhow,
Anyway.
we're gonna call it a wrap.
Oh,
and
one more
end
thing
it.
for New
Yes.
Year's next week.
Yes.
We're changing our meal to raw fish.
Oh, really? Yeah.
We're not going to have all those fancy dishes.
Nice.
We're going to have raw fish.
Ooh. Well, tell us all about it. We'll check in with you next time. But of course, Happy Lunar New Year.
새해 복 많이 받으세요.
Oh, thank you, Vasana. Well, it's time to say goodbye for a first hour only. 어젯밤 이야기 by 소방차. Enjoy. I'll be back at 8.
어젯밤에 난 내가 내가 미워졌어 어젯밤엔 난 내가 싫어졌어 빙글빙글 돌아가는 불빛들을 바라보며 나 혼자 가슴 아팠어 내 친구들이 너의 손을 잡고 춤출 때마다 괴로워하던 나의 모습을 왜 못 보았니 어젯밤 파티는 너무도 외로웠지 이 세상을 다른데도 바꿀 수가 없는 건데 너는 그걸 왜 모르니 어젯밤엔 난 내가 미워졌어 어젯밤엔 난 내가 싫어졌어 쉴 새 없는 음악 소리 끝나기를 기다리며 나 혼자 우울했었지 내 친구들이 너의 손을 잡고 춤출 때
Your bridge to the world. BEFM 부산영어방송.
귀뚜라미는 지키겠습니다. 지진으로부터, 가스 누출로부터, 환경 오염으로부터, 가스비로부터 여러분을 지키겠습니다. 귀뚜라미 50년 기술로 품질에 대한 믿음을 지키겠습니다. 보일러는 역시 귀뚜라미.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BFM 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
These are the guidelines for action for people in the event of an apartment building fire. First, if evacuation is possible in the event of a fire in your home, move to a safe place in a low posture by using stairs. And if evacuation is difficult, move to an evacuation space or block the door gap and call 119 for rescue. Second, if a fire breaks out in another home and no flames or smoke enters your home, wait inside the home, call 119, and act according to the announcement. Third, if flames and smoke come into your home in the event of a fire in another home, check to see if evacuation is possible and then evacuate or request rescue. This was brought to you by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the National Fire Agency.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning,
Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded.
What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It's now 8 o'clock. This is News Highlights. Ex-Defense Minister testifies at Yoon's impeachment hearing. Former Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun spoke as a witness at President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment trial, downplaying allegations implicating President Yoon Suk-yeol in his martial law imposition. Kim, a witness for the president's side, said that he proposed mobilizing a large number of troops, but the president, against his advice, ordered a small number of troops. Kim also rejected allegations that Yoon ordered troops to storm the National Assembly building in a bid to stop lawmakers from voting down the decree. Kim is accused of recommending martial law to Yoon and drafting the decree. CIO transfers Yoon's case to prosecution for indictment. The Corruption Investigation Office for High-Ranking Officials, or CIO, announced that it has transferred its investigation of President Yoon Suk-yeol's failed martial law bid to the prosecution yesterday, asking that he be indicted on charges of insurrection and abuse of power. The CIO passed over 30,000 pages of its investigation records to the prosecution. It said that President Yoon, the suspect, continues to be uncooperative and defy the procedures under the criminal justice system. The CIO said that under the circumstances, it would be more effective for the prosecution, which has the power to indict the president, to determine the truth behind the incident. Constitutional courts reject impeachment against broadcasting watchdog chief. The Constitutional Court yesterday rejected a National Assembly vote to impeach Korea Communications Commission, or KCC chairperson Lee Jin-suk, over what opposition lawmakers said was a controversial decision-making process. The court rejected the impeachment in a 4-4 decision. By law, the court requires the consent of at least 6 justices to endorse the impeachment. Lee was suspended from her position just 2 days after she took office in August in a push by the Democratic Party. She has been immediately put back into her duties. South Korea's 2024 fertility rate estimated at 0.75. South Korea is estimated to have recorded a higher than expected fertility rate of 0.75 in 2024, signaling a potential rebound in the country's chronically low birth rate. The Presidential Committee on Aging Society and Population Policy announced this figure yesterday, which said that the country's childbirth is on track to record the first rebound in 9 years. The government plans to raise the fertility rate, which came to 0.72 in 2023, by 1 to 1 by 2030. U.S. judge temporarily blocks Trump's birthright citizenship order. A judge in Seattle temporarily blocked President Donald Trump's executive order to change birthright citizenship, calling it blatantly unconstitutional. The order has already become the subject of 5 lawsuits by civil rights groups and Democratic attorneys general from 22 states. Meanwhile, Trump is at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, where he told the rest of the world to either make their products in the U.S. or face tariffs worth trillions of dollars. This was News Highlights. Okay, so for the wavers who are listening on the radio, you just missed a treat.
That's
if you're
why
watching on YouTube,
you get on our YouTube.
Yes, that was Haley. I think it was salsa.
It was. Excuse me, I used to be La Presidente of our school Spanish club back in high school.
But what does that have to do with salsa dancing?
Because we organized a lot of salsa dances.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay,
I learned.
okay.
I learned.
Yes.
And I was complimented by the instructor. I mean, that was 10 plus years ago, but
okay.
it's still there. It's still there. I have no shame and a lot of unearned confidence, so great combo.
Oh, but you know, I was thinking back to because people were talking about dance and dancing and all that. So I've taken I don't want to say ballroom dancing, but sports dance.
Yeah.
네, 수업도 들어보고 I've taken ballet as an adult, and then all the years of dance classes because of your formative years in high school, all the cheerleading. We were forced to take dance lessons. They brought instructors to the
Right.
school.
They do that in the States.
Right.
We learned how to square dance in PE.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so we did line dancing.
Yeah.
We did lots of I can't even all the partner dancing.
I think I learned
I've tried,
how to
basically everything.
waltz in
You know what the
school?
scariest thing though was? I had a partner and our dance competition thing, our teacher, our coach told us, you gotta lift the female partner up in the air and twirl us, and I was just like, so I said, I picked the partner. I was like, you look really strong. You're my partner.
You have good muscle
Yes.
mass. Let's do
and
this.
you're cute. So yeah, there you go. So for wa글와글, it is prime shopping time ahead of the holiday. And so many people are ordering more things online, obviously, whether it be groceries or gifts. However, there is, let's give a shout out to all the logistics and delivery workers, the tech-bay people, and the people who are packing the packages, working around the clock to get all of these things to us.
Right. I mean, personal opinion, but the week before the holiday should be Delivery Person Appreciation
Yes.
Week. So messages are being shared on social media from delivery workers who are currently swamped with the extra workload.
Yes.
So one social media user wrote on their page, they did a screen grab and posted it, saying, "This is what I received from my parcel delivery worker."
Sure.
So the delivery worker, he or she wrote, "I'm so sorry, but due to the overload of packages, I am now leaving the center for the route," and that was sent at 6 p.m., and will likely complete delivery by 2 a.m., and he apologized or she apologized for the delays. So given that time, a little after 6, it seems that the driver likely running 2 shifts that day and was basically beginning their afternoon/evening run.
Yes.
Other people also shared similar messages saying that their parcels were being delivered very, very late into the night, well past midnight. So commenters said that they felt really bad seeing the workers. Because, for example, when you and I leave home,
Yes.
we do sometimes see drivers, the parcel
Oh,
drivers
definitely.
coming in
Right.
that early. And I'm wondering, are you starting early or have you just never left?
Oh my gosh.
Right. So, and other people said that I want to live in a world, and this is an important sentiment, where it's okay to not get things shipped overnight.
I'm okay with that, though.
I am very okay with that. I know sometimes that's important if you have babies, diapers, formula, and you run out and you depend on that.
Right.
But, if it's just other stuff that's not urgent, and that people want fast delivery, but not at the expense of grinding the person who delivers them.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, I will wait if I have to, definitely.
Absolutely.
We don't want there to be that big of a rush. But, this does seem to be kind of like a larger issue with the parcel delivery system itself, though.
Right, because parcel delivery workers are kind of freelancers of sorts. So they are responsible for all the packages in that designated neighborhood. And if the food or if perishables, if they go bad because of delays, they actually have to pay for that out of pocket.
Right.
So according to the Land Ministry, there's an average of a 9% increase in packages being delivered and ordered per day during the holidays. I mean, we say 9%, but we're talking about hundreds, thousands.
Yes.
So the ministry said that it has dispatched 5,200 additional personnel for unloading, loading, unloading, and sorting and deliveries. So hopefully, but on our part, we can be a little bit patient.
Patient and, just a small little thank you. Smiles definitely help.
Right.
All right. So while the holidays are supposed to be fun and relaxing, they can be a cause for tension and stress as well, creating this cultural phenomena of 화병, right?
Right. So 화병,
Yes.
it's spelled 화병, but it's 화병.
화병, yes.
So kind of holiday syndrome, right? 명절 증후군. It's usually associated with people who are in charge of the domestic aspect of things, but the sort of anger/social discontent is definitely spreading. So I'm giving you this online pay app had this promo where they gave out the so-called 잔소리 tees, or the t-shirts of nagging/unsolicited advice and how much I'm charging for each. So it says, for each question that was just unsolicited, where are you going to college? 대학교 어디가? 5만 원, 50,000 won.
Okay.
You should lose weight. 살 좀 빼면 좋겠다. 10만 원, 10,000, 100,000 won,
You know how
excuse me.
Koreans say it though, like, 되게
건강해 보인다?
얼굴 좋아
보인다?
보인다. That means, AKA, you got fat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And
That's
my
their nice
response
way.
is usually like,
Thank
그렇죠.
you.
Yeah, I just don't care.
Yes.
Are you seeing anyone? 만나는 사람 있어? That's 150,000 won.
15만 원?
15만 원. What's your salary? 연봉? I'm like, 월급 or 연봉? 200,000 won. You can raise my salary with that.
Wow.
And finally, you should think about settling down.
Like get married.
결혼 슬 생각해야 되지. It's always the 슬 생각해야 되지 않아 is 300,000 won. 30,000 people participated in this event to be not all to get the t-shirts, but to be selected to be in the raffle to get the t-shirts.
This is kind of why, I hope my relatives aren't listening, I kind of stopped going to like relatives and events with relatives unless it's like a wedding or a funeral.
Oh, right.
Just because like I don't want to be inundated with that, and plus I don't want family members
that's
facing
true.
like
That's true.
uncomfortable questions.
Right,
So
right.
it's just like that's really
especially
none of your
in those
business.
years where you are like a student going to college,
Yes.
and they're like I
Right,
believe
we just
15
stopped.
to 35 is when you get all of these questions.
Like they would say like, 그러면 영어 미국에서 왔으니까 영어 1등급에 전교 1등이겠네, and like it's like so stressful for the kids.
But I'm like, you're Korean. Did you get 1등급 on your Korean
국어?
language?
Exactly.
No, I'm just saying.
So I'm just saying, yeah. So but 화병 is not
Right.
a laughing matter.
It really isn't. So this is a pathological diagnosis. It's very interesting. It's a cultural specific syndrome,
Yes.
but also pathological. Koreans and Korean immigrants are particularly prone to it.
Yes.
So it's kind of known as a folk medical term, and I'm citing two different papers. The 2004 Psychiatry Investigation Journal article from a Seoul National University professor Lee Bu-yong, and then 10 years later, 2014 PubMed Central article from joint research from POSTECH, University of Massachusetts, and American University. There's my due diligence. So 화병, 화, anger, and 병, illness. And this happens when people are restrained from confronting their feelings of anger as a consequence of unjust or unfair circumstances. So basically situations where you can't do anything about it, but you can't express yourself either.
Yes.
So what is this? How is this different from just rage? Well, there's a physical aspect to it.
Yes.
Chest discomfort, choking. So I actually have a list, kind of a 화병
Self-check?
diagnosis, self-check list,
Okay,
and this
okay.
is from experts. By the way, it's a list of 6. If you 4 or more apply to you, you may have 화병, so you
Okay.
might want to seek help. Number 1, you feel a tightness in your chest or difficulty breathing.
And by the way, we have the Korean version on our Notu page, so
Right.
you can
So
kind of
if
follow
not
along.
now, later when
Yes.
our video is up. Number 2, you feel something surging from the inside. Number 3, you feel hot heat in your face and or chest. Number 4, you feel something bunching up, kind of a tightness in your throat or chest. Number 5, feeling of frustration. It's 억울한 마음, which is a very Korean term. Frustration or
right.
a feeling that you've been wronged.
Yes, yes.
Right. And number 6, you feel pent up anger or outrage.
Aw, I hope that none of our waivers have 화병.
I really hope not. But, admission and knowledge is really number one.
Yes.
There are number one steps to getting help. So, yes. And hopefully the holidays won't be a source of 화병.
Once again, wishing everybody no 화병s out there. But moving on, starting later this year, you may be fined for the unauthorized use of the Red Cross.
Right. So the 빨간 십자가, the Red Cross. So it's going to be a little bit confusing because we are going to be talking about the Red Cross, capital R, capital C, like the organization.
Okay.
And their symbol of the Red Cross, lowercase r and c. But this Red Cross is the symbol for the Red Cross.
Yes.
And from April, as early as April, this Red Cross will be subject to copyright protection. So according to the organization Korea Red Cross, they've received a public notification of their copyright process of the Red Cross by the Korean Intellectual Property Office. So if there are no objections lodged within the next 2 months, the Red Cross will be protected as intellectual property. So that means for-profit hospitals, pharmacies, and medical equipment companies cannot use this symbol.
Really?
Right. And actually, this is copyright, but under the law, it's actually already illegal to use a Red Cross for purposes other than for the Red Cross to mark its humanitarian efforts and tasks.
I see. Okay.
And that includes private usage for costumes. Your Halloween costumes, the kind of, any the sexy whatever costume. The Red Cross says, of course, it has no intention of immediately suing businesses for copyright infringement, but that the intent is to raise awareness, and they will go on this very long campaign to raise this awareness and give everyone a grace period.
Yes, so now we know. We cannot use the little Red Cross for anything.
We cannot.
Okay. Well, can we end it on a heartwarming
Please,
note?
please.
We need it.
We do. So as I remember, it was extremely cold earlier this month.
Right.
And an older woman who has Alzheimer's, she got lost in the streets. So she was wandering around the streets for over an hour wearing just her thermals in 내복. And this was in Seoul, so it was just freezing, under freezing cold.
Right,
but according to the National Police YouTube page that just recently posted this, they actually posted a CCTV video of an area in front of a convenience store. You see a younger woman who's not wearing a coat in that freezing weather.
Right.
But she's talking to someone, and then you see this older woman following her into the convenience store, and the younger woman puts her coat on the older woman, helps her zip it up, and bought her a warm drink while she talked to them, kind of trying to figure out what was going on, and she called the police. So after that, the police took her to the precinct, but the older woman, having Alzheimer's, couldn't remember anything. So that is a very tricky situation.
Yes.
But thankfully, not long after she was taken into the police station, the daughter of the older woman made a report to the police after finding out, her mother was missing, and they were able to reunite the family. So very good news there, and the police also thanked the woman for protecting this older woman who was clearly in need.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
We need to be more like that. So thank you for going over all the Wagley issues, and we'll see you on Monday, right?
Have a great weekend.
Everybody, this was Haley, and we're due for a song break right away now. So, but not before we get to our traffic and weather, and then I'll tell you what song we're going to hear. So this is your updated traffic and weather. It is now time for your updated traffic and weather. There is an accident to report on the Dongso overpass going out of the city. There's a two-car collision on Pumnikor ramp. It's been clear, but there is a lot of backup because of this. Another collision on Gwangan Bridge going toward Haeundae, so that's on the lower deck. Also, traffic on Nakdong-Namno from Hadan intersection to Hagwon Bridge right now, and backed up on Chungnyeol-daedo from Minam to Naesong intersection. Currently, it has gone up to 0. It's going to go up to 13 today, so as you can just hear, a big gap in the temperatures. There is a dry weather special alert in effect with bad ultra-fine dust readings. Over the weekend, you can expect some clouds tomorrow with an expected low of 2 degrees Celsius and a high of 10. Cloudy on Sunday as well, similar temperatures. This was your traffic and weather. As requested by Benny, this is 금지된 사랑 by Kim Kyung-ho.
울지마 여기에 새겨진 우리 이름을 봐 소중한 초대장이 젖어버리잖아 슬퍼만 가족들이 보이지 않아도 언젠간 용서할 그날이 올 거야
Were you guys able? I'm like coughing because were you guys able to reach the high notes? Not really. It was just so high. So thank you for that song request, by the way. Which would you rather? We're talking about this, right? Take 7 of your older relatives to a cafe or taking 7 little ones to a kids' cafe. The thing is that I thought it would like kind of go one way or the other, but people have their various reasons for choosing which one they're going to go with. So I believe it was Michael who said that he prefers to go with the younger crowd, the kids, because he thinks that it's more adaptable, that he can deal with the kids better than with the adults. So that is just, of course, one person's take on that. And as we go through like some of the songs, the requests that come in, I'm realizing like it kind of like dates you a little bit. Like, oh, if you know this song. But then I thought about it. Benny, I think Benny, aren't you in your like late 20s or you're in your 20s, right? And like it amazes me how like some of you know all of these songs wherever you are, whether you're in the Philippines or here in Korea. So thank you for all of that. Well, we're going to get to our special interview because I find this topic really fascinating. We're going to be back and talk about something called Red Note. So I'll be back in just a moment. You know, in recent years, TikTok has been a global sensation, but not without controversy after a temporary ban in the United States due to what they call national security concerns. It was reinstated when U.S. President Donald Trump requested the ban to be stalled. During the brief ban, though, it went dark for a few hours. A new app called Red Note, and I hope I say this correctly. In Chinese, I believe it's Xiao Hongshu. But Red Note gained popularity as users, they search for an alternative. And now questions are being raised about Red Note itself, its appeal, the rapid growth, and potential security risks as well, just like TikTok faced, the similar scrutiny. Let's find out more. We have Professor Andrew Selapak, who's an associate instructional professor in the Department of Media Production Management and Technology at the University of Florida. Hi, welcome to our program.
How you doing?
Yes, well, I'm well, and thank you for coming on air with us. So, first of all, if we can get the backdrop. So, most of our listeners understand there was this, TikTok went dark for several hours in the U.S., but what led to the temporary ban of TikTok, and, why was it eventually brought back?
Well, you have to kind of go through the timeline even further back.
Yes.
You go back to 2020 when the Trump administration and Donald Trump first brought up banning TikTok. And that's back when, you have a lot of different reasons why it didn't happen politically and so forth. But at the time, a lot fewer users here in the United States were actually on the app, and it probably would have been easier to have banned it then. Then fast forward 4 years later in March of this year, and you have the U.S. House that passes a bill that includes a ban or a divestment of TikTok, where it would have to sell to an American company.
Right.
And it's passed by the Senate in April. Biden signs it, and it says, okay, by January, you either have to divest and be sold, an American version needs to be sold, or you'll just get banned. And everybody just kicked the can down the road. Everyone thought, well, it'll get saved, something will change, something will happen. And then over the weekend, you had the Biden administration saying, not our problem anymore.
Yes.
And the Trump administration saying, well, we're not in charge yet. And TikTok went dark in terms of not being available. Now, it is available again here in the U.S.,
yes,
but not available to download. So if you don't have TikTok on your phone right now, you can't go to the Apple Play Store or the Google Play Store and download it. If you have it, you can use it. If you don't have it, you can't get it.
Right. So from what I understand, it's temporary, at least for now.
75 days is where it's the now sort of brief lifeline, but with each passing day, that 75 days becomes fewer and fewer.
Indeed. So during this ban and maybe prior to it, people were flocking to a new app called RedNote, which we're not really familiar with. So what exactly is RedNote and why and how did it become so popular quickly?
Well, and I'm glad you attempted the Chinese pronunciation of the app. It's actually closer to Little Red Book than Red Note. And probably your listeners are a little bit more familiar than many Americans with what Little Red Book means in China, as opposed to, again, a lot of Americans. So right there should give you a little bit of a clue as to what type of app we're talking about. This is an app where, if you look at it right now, there's kind of a firewall that exists on TikTok, not just the sort of great Chinese firewall where we know that YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and X and LinkedIn and Snapchat are not in China. You also don't have TikTok in China. This is really a Chinese app that Americans are starting to use. And it's vastly different than TikTok, which does have this marginal barrier of ByteDance between the CCP and users. RedNote, there's no border or barrier. This is kind of directly influenced by and with no attempt to hide it by the CCP. You can even look through the terms of service, and it talks about users should promote various things that are important to the CCP. So there's no attempt to kind of hide, bias, leaning, or who's in charge when it comes to RedNote. And the ridiculous part about it is it would be much easier, much more likely for the U.S. government to ban RedNote even before they get around to banning TikTok.
Wow. Yet people are flocking to it. So I'm curious about the specific features or experiences that RedNote offers that might make it even more appealing than TikTok. I mean, I haven't been on it, so is it like a short form app, like a video app, or is it something quite different?
Well, and this is where American users are what they're trying to do with it.
Yes.
So one of the things that we know from a lot of these apps in China is they're often a kind of a combination of things. So there's not the one-to-one equivalent of, this is the Chinese Facebook. This is the Chinese X. This is the Chinese WhatsApp.
Yes.
They much more combine different apps and services into one. So like here in the US, if you want to order a ride, you're going to go to your Uber app. And then if you want to order food, you're going to go to your DoorDash app. And then if you want to send a DM to somebody, you're going to use, maybe your WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger.
Yes.
They combine all those things with the apps that are available in China. So this is more of a combination of that. But for American users, their main use for the app is still going to be as this sort of substitute, not replacement, but substitute for TikTok, where it's going to be those short form videos. So it's one of those things where other options are available, but for American users, we're just so accustomed to having a ton of different apps on our phone where each one is kind of specific for a specific thing, and it's similar. We see a little bit here, Facebook Messenger does offer some other options of, sharing money or so forth, but overwhelmingly, we're going to go into a different app like Venmo to share money as opposed to transferring it back and forth within an app that we have for a different purpose.
Do you think that in the U.S., like you just talked about culturally, that people feel more comfortable because it's kind of spread out, as you say, whether it's for, ride sharing or for rides or for takeout or delivery, and even with sending money, as you say, like with Venmo, versus having it all kind of like on one app? Would that make it kind of feel a little uncomfortable, the fact that maybe one app has so much power over the population? What do you think?
Well, this is one of those things where I think, yes, from an app perspective, sadly, not from a company perspective. If you look at Meta with WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, Facebook, Oculus, or Google with YouTube, Google Search, Google Ads, Google Chrome, the Android App Store. We do seem to like things to be in their own special box, even if they're in general owned by one place.
True.
But that's even where you see the U.S. government get into how they might try to break up these monopolies. And that's, I think, where it kind of has some problems because, the Biden administration was looking into if Google's or Apple are engaging in monopolistic practices.
Yes.
And having some app that suddenly tries to come out and be an all-everything app, I think you'll find it probably is not going to sit too well with users. And part of that's just because we're used to what we're used to. It's very difficult to kind of change. If you think about just sort of smartphones and cell phones in general,
yes,
most of the world actually was using it and using better forms before the U.S. got involved. We're a little bit stubborn sometimes, and we like what we like, and it's difficult to make changes.
Yes, well, thanks for explaining. Well, you already alluded to this, Professor, that but Red Note, do you think that Red Notes will face similar criticism as TikTok, or even more, maybe more, as you say? I mean, the Red Note, the name itself, plus it's kind of an all-encompassing kind of app if you use it that way. But do you think that there will be similar concerns or similar challenges to Red Note as well?
Yes. I mean, it's the short answer. Yes.
Yes.
And again, there is a barrier that we can kind of see between the American user and the Chinese government.
Yes.
The data being stored by Oracle, that's, the Project Texas, that the data will be stored here, that there's terms of service that specifically outline the terms of service that TikTok would abide by. With Red Note, the data's not stored here in the U.S. There's not a ByteDance that separates the user again from the app. And the terms of service for the app basically indicate that the app is meant for the propaganda of the Communist Chinese government. So I think it's one of those things where if you look at here in the U.S., again, it's part of it is that we like what we like, and we kind of like to make sure that things are the same. You also have a lot of people who, particularly in government, they're slightly older. They're not a lot of tech savvy people. There are some, but people in leadership positions, not as much. And Red Note and what that means is probably a lot beyond their understanding of social media right now. I bet if you asked a lot of members of the U.S. House and U.S. Senate if they really understood TikTok, if they were being honest, would probably say no. And now you have this extra app kind of being introduced into the market, and I think there'd be less of an understanding. But that less of an understanding, I think, also could be the reason why it would get banned that much faster, because some of the concerns about TikTok, it's even worse with Red Note.
I see. Well, do you think that the issue with security and privacy that the U.S. government obviously is touting, that these risks are real, or are they being blown out of proportion? What are your thoughts on this?
With anything, there's an issue. And what I mean by that is, we do know that American social media companies are also collecting our data. They're using our data. They're selling our data. It's happening with Facebook, Instagram, just as it happens with TikTok. The difference is because you have these sort of Silicon Valley-based companies, if there's a problem, if there's a concern, Congress can easily call Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, can call the heads of these tech companies before Congress to answer questions and to regulate them. When it comes to something like TikTok, because, yes, there is sort of a American head of TikTok with ByteDance, and there's a supposed separation, they're still going to take their orders from the CCP, and Congress can't call President Xi to Washington, D.C. to answer questions about TikTok, their algorithm, and their data security and data privacy. We also there's been multiple stories that have come out from various news organizations about how data that was supposedly private here in the United States from journalists was accessed by people in China. So there's been problems. We know what these problems are. There's been stories about them. And then there's just sort of that big issue from the perspective of if there's a problem, Congress can't call really TikTok in front of a panel to answer questions and can't regulate them in the same way.
Right.
But even beyond the data privacy, I think it's the algorithm and the algorithm manipulation that is the bigger problem with TikTok. The data privacy, data security, yes, I could see and I understand the issues with it, and I'm not negating that.
Right.
But I think the bigger issue is the algorithm as opposed to the data privacy.
I see. And one of our listeners, she's actually in Colorado. She's American, and she says that the running joke in the U.S. about Red Note is that the terms are written in Chinese apparently, and by agreeing that the running joke is that you're agreeing to be drafted into the Chinese military, meaning people don't know what they're clicking on because it's not in English apparently. So, could there also be concern that you don't really know what you're agreeing to?
Well, I think if we're all being honest, very few of us actually read the terms of service for anything
Even in
we
English,
download.
right?
Yeah. It regardless of what language it's in, we basically, how far do I have to scroll before I can click agree to use whatever this particular thing is?
Yes.
But this is where, again, in those terms of service, it basically, despite the fact it's not for, and maybe this will change sometime soon, but users don't read it. They don't know what they're agreeing to, but the terms of service for Red Note basically do indicate, hey, this is, there are certain things you cannot say, you cannot do.
Yes.
You cannot speak against the Communist Party. You cannot, there's multiple things you can't say about President Xi. And there's topics that are off limits.
Yes.
Basically, it's like, hey, here, you know how you want to use TikTok and you're upset that people are censoring your free speech?
Right.
Well, you're literally now using an app that censors free speech. Like it is the biggest censor of free speech compared to the one you're complaining about.
Yes, indeed.
So it's the irony that you have these people who are complaining about, these content creators who are complaining about these things. And, their response is, let me now download this thing that's more restrictive, takes more of your data, gives more of that data to a government that we're concerned about, which is why we're trying to ban TikTok, and does so in a way that is more dangerous, again, to algorithm manipulation, data protection. And you think this is sort of your way to get back at the TikTok ban. You're literally just playing into the hands of what we're concerned about. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for schooling us, for letting us know what's happening with Red Note in the United States, and take care. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
This was Professor Andrew Selapak with our special interview.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It is time for Casey and Foreign Press Highlights. Hello.
Hello to you.
How are you?
Good.
You're good?
Yeah, I woke up late today. I woke up late.
Not
yeah,
good.
No, good in a good way.
Oh, in a good way. Okay.
So I perhaps messaged somebody. I'm coming in a little later today, right? Yes. So thank you.
Yes. Hey, so we want to know about the text topic.
Okay.
So it's a which would you rather? It's a fun one.
Okay, good.
Which would you rather have to take 7 elderly members of your extended family to a cafe versus and spend time with them?
Oh.
Okay. Versus you can't just drop them off. You have to spend time with them. You're with them.
Oh, gosh.
Versus taking 7 really young, rambunctious kids to a kids cafe and spend time with them.
All right.
1 or 2.
All right, Grandpa, let's go.
I I agree.
Yeah, come on.
I'm opting for the adults.
Tell me about your life story.
I would rather.
What can we learn today?
Hear a little bit of the conde stories.
Oh.
Then deal with the runny noses and the he hit me and like.
Right. As long as we don't get into politics, right?
Politics and religion.
Oh dear.
That's like when I'm saying, I got to go to the restroom. Like,
yeah, right. There's a way out of that.
Prolonged amount of time. Oh, do you need more goodies? Do you need more cake?
Or I don't really follow that. Oh, I don't know.
이해 못해요. Like,
Right.
what are you talking about?
Have some earbuds in. I'm sorry?
So you would go with the older folk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I'm
Some
in
people
that
really
young
like
kids.
kids.
I'm in the young kids world right now. So
You want to get out.
yes, and
Escape.
I've got we got a 6-day holiday coming up. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
I'll be at that kids cafe. I'll be there like every day. Like, all right, how can I tire you out? Jump on this thing.
And
Not the
for
table.
me, it's going to be like a weird holiday. Like 2 members of my family are out of town. So it's a really weird. It's gonna
For
be
the whole
really-
time? For the whole 6-day
Pretty
thing?
much.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So does that mean a lot of me time for you?
No, because
no?
there's still other members of the family. So this is really
so it
weird.
Doesn't quite work out in the best way possible.
Right,
Gotcha.
right. Well,
Yeah.
let's get to our first story.
Okay, let's do it. Zinc. You ready?
Zinc
Yeah. What do you know about zinc?
starts with the Z, ends with a S.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I don't know. I should have looked this up. What is zinc in Korean?
Jijibong? What?
Oh my goodness.
What is zinc in Korean?
Really?
Oh, same. She's saying not jijibong. She's saying it's the same. It's jinku.
I was so confused. I was like, can I
know,
say
so
that?
I was like,
Oh.
jinx.
Oh my goodness.
Casey was having other
So
thoughts. Like
confused.
he
Yes,
was
I
like,
was.
"Is that shikugum? Can we say that on air?"
You saw that in my face?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw the your eyes. You were getting nervous.
Yeah, I was
Jinx.
like, I think we just had a no-no.
Yeah, we had
yes.
방송사고 because of our PD. No. So it means jinx. So it's zinc is
Yes.
징크.
Okay. Okay.
징크스.
Right.
진짜 스까지 해야 돼요? Are you sure? Okay.
Is there a delay button in here? I feel like.
So why are we talking about zinc?
Good question. I don't know. I just lost my track of thought. Zinc is actually very important to us. Did you know that?
If you say so.
It is like really.
Well,
okay.
I used to take the multivitamin. I won't say the name, and it was the advertisement. We're like, oh, it's from A to zinc.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
You know which one, right?
I know what you're talking about.
I assume it's important.
I felt like a jingle just popped in my head.
Right.
So it's part of like a lot of supplements people take. You ever use that like kind of really like white powdery sunblock? You know, like the ones that the surfers use?
Yeah.
That's zinc.
Yes.
And apparently zinc is important for every living thing.
Why
because,
are we talking about this?
Oh, okay. Should I jump to this? Okay.
I'm just curious. I'm so curious now.
Because the New York Times this week had a headline that said, 2 families in business for 50 years wage war in a South Korean boardroom. And I was like, okay, I'll bite.
Okay.
So I read into the story, and it's all about this company, which, all right, it's a weird story. It's like, tell me if this is K-drama-esque to you.
Okay, let's hear it.
2 longtime business partners established a subsidiary, right? So they had this business together, and they decided to make the smaller business 50 years ago to make zinc out of an industrial complex set up by the Korean government. And then they settled on this unusual division of power. So the new venture would be managed by the Choi family.
Yes.
The existing company, which is a famous name you're probably familiar with, would be run by the other household, the Chang family.
Oh.
And they both, at that time, 50 years ago, they were like, we will respect each other's management. This will be 2 families under one roof. Sounds like, oh, yes. It sounds like, I don't know, even Game of Thrones is coming to mind to me.
Right.
So this company went on to become the world's largest producer of zinc. I had no idea going on here. And a really big part of the Korean economy. And predictably, I don't know, the relationship between the Che's and the Changs has broken down in, as they say, in dramatic fashion. The descendants of the 2 founders, who actually died decades ago, so at least they don't have to watch this.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
They're, as they say in the New York Times, locked in a bare-knuckle fight for control of this company.
Wow.
So what do you think? Does that sound like
It sounds like a K-drama. And by the way, we did some more research.
Yeah.
In English, zinc in Korean is ayeon, which to me is so ironic because iron in English in Korean is 철분. It's so confusing.
It sounds closer to iron,
Right.
yeah.
Ayeon. But it's
I think I know a person named Ion. Sounds like a name kind of, doesn't it?
So going back to the story.
Yeah, so basically what happened is yesterday, New York time.
Yes.
So yesterday there was a shareholder meeting here, and it was apparently a boardroom takeover attempt.
Yes.
So the drama was like hot yesterday. There's no update that I read about this yet, but so basically the Trey family is trying to hold on to their management rights for the zinc company.
Yes.
They're trying to fend off this takeover attempt by the Chung family.
Oh my gosh.
The Chung family has apparently partnered with one of Asia's biggest private equity firms. Layman speak, it's like a private company that buys into big companies, right? And tries to control who's on the board and things like that. And they're basically trying to get rid of the grandson.
Oh my gosh.
The Trey grandson.
They're trying to get rid of the grandson.
Yeah. They say he's a poor manager. He's made questionable investments. He's not doing enough to maintain the company's competitiveness.
Yes.
And they've also said on the other side, the Trey family is worried that a lot of the investors in this private equity firm are Chinese. Therefore, is this an attempt by another country to take over?
Oh gosh.
It's a whole thing. It's Game of Thrones.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's all about zinc. I was like, what?
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
yes.
What else do we need to know?
Okay. It's not only concern between the two families.
Yes.
The U.S. has kind of waded into this a couple times.
Okay.
Because
it's
zinc
going
is
international.
Well, zinc is one of those things that turns up in everything. It turns up in car parts because it's used to make metal rust proof.
Yes.
It turns up in all kinds of beauty products, cosmetics, everything. It's everywhere. New battery technology as well. So the U.S. is like, oh, this is a critical mineral. What country do we not want having control over this, which already has a large amount of control over zinc?
China.
Right.
Yes.
So in a December letter to the U.S. State Department, a Democrat from California, Representative Eric Swalwell, about this exact situation, he's concerned that this private equity firm might hurt American and South Korean efforts to, quote unquote, insulate and expand critical mineral supply chains.
Interesting.
Yeah. And you guys were just talking about, the social media issues with various countries. Yes, it's echoes of that. So there's a lot of concerns.
International.
Yeah.
But what an interesting story that I probably wouldn't have heard of.
I know.
So this one, thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Sure.
Let's go get to our next one.
All right.
Which one? I know we have two more, but you're gonna have to pick and choose.
Let's do this one because this one's gonna echo for a while.
Yes.
This came out this week, but from Reuters and other publications. Since South Korea's birth rate set to rise for the first time in 9 years. Have you talked about this?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a short article, but basically it's a lot of numbers at you, and the main connection is that the fact is the number of newborns between January and November last year rose 3% from a year earlier.
Yes.
That's a big change here. And people have been waiting anxiously to see, is it going to get worse? Is it going to get better? But there's a connection they make.
What is the connection?
Marriages that were delayed due to COVID.
COVID, that's right.
Yeah.
People waited because they wanted to have a wedding ceremony where, more than 50 people could come.
Right.
Yes. And then...
So we're still feeling the effects of that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I see the effects of COVID even in school children. When I see young people and their communication skills.
That's why I'm not taking those kids to the kids' cafe. I'll take the older adults.
Ditto that.
Right.
No, because it's
you guys can't even talk to each other.
They can't. They can't even talk to each other. It's all through mobile apps and their devices, and they can't even communicate.
Yeah, and there's this this kind of anxiety that kids have. It's palpable. My kids, I notice when they're put into a situation with people that are new and they don't know how to introduce themselves.
They don't.
And I try to coach them and help them. But
and some of the kids, they're still wearing the masks, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously it's flu season.
Right. There's a good reason to be wearing them for sure. Yeah.
However, because it was such a long time, 2+ years, where everybody was masked up, they don't know how to read emotions.
Yes, because the masks block the face.
Veiling your face, right?
Yep. Yeah, so we're still feeling the effects of that. They said there was a rise in marriages in 2023, which impacted what we saw last year with the number of births, because as they point out here still, basically there's a 1 to 2 year period where if somebody's getting married, probably a baby's coming within that period. That's the expectation.
Normally. At least in Korea, that's the expectation.
That's exactly what the article points out.
Right.
However, Korea is not alone in this. Again, China being mentioned in this article.
Right.
Similar trends happening there. So they said in neighboring China, the number of births rose 5.8%.
quite a difference in the overall number, 9.54 million last year. So, quite a difference. But still, percentage-wise, it's kind of...
I have a funny message from Michael related to this very topic.
Okay.
And he says, 셋째 낳고 싶네요. 제가 아이들을 엄청 좋아하거든요. So he wants to have a third baby. However, 저희 아내 전혀 셋째 생각은 없지만, meaning...
No way.
She's not even thinking about it. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So
I made a lighthearted joke about that
and what
2 days ago.
And what happened?
I get the laser eyes. Like, don't even you get out of here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Were you serious at all?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
I said something,
like,
silly. Like,
let's have a third.
Yeah. And she's like,
she gave you the nunchi.
You better get out of here. Yeah. Get on out of here. I was like, just joking.
You have your third. You have your third.
Hey, no. Don't even say it. What do they say in Korean?
And I have my fourth. Oh my gosh.
If you say it, the seed will sprout or something like that. Something.
Let's not say phrases that were.
Oh, that could be misinterpreted.
No, unless you know it 100%.
I do not.
Yeah, let's not.
Yeah, I don't know what zinc is. I'm out.
Yes. So once again, zinc. Going back to the first story, iron. But iron.
Right.
But not jinx. Because everybody's like laughing, saying they thought we were talking about like.
And it was such an easy thing to research in advance.
Iron. But iron is 철분.
Right.
We're going to end it on that note. So wishing you a happy Lunar New Year. So talk to you next week.
Get plenty of zinc.
All right. Everybody, this was Casey. It's time to wrap up, but guess what? We're going to be live on Monday. So join us then. This is Volare by the Gypsy Kings wishing you a happy weekend. Bye, everybody.
Felice di stare lassù, y volando feliz me encuentro más alto que el sol, y mientras ya en el mundo sale con el paso de mí, una música dulce tocada solo para mí. Volare, cantare, nel blu dipinto di blu. Felice di stare lassù. Pienso que un sueño parecido no volverá más. Y me pintaba la mano y la cara de azul. Y de improviso el viento rápido me llevó. Y me echó a ir a volar en el cielo infinito. Felice di stare lassù. Volare, cantare, nel blu dipinto di blu. Felice di stare lassù. Pienso que un sueño parecido no volverá más. Y me pintaba la mano y la cara de azul. Y de improviso en el viento rápido me llevó.